So I'm going to be showing you today how you can make a phone stand that isn't going to bend and move around, because resin is flexible, especially if it gets warm. It can be flexible, and a lot of people have been buying these phone stand molds, making them and then using them with tablets and things like that, and they're bending. So I'm going to show you some tips and tricks to how to stop that happening. I've got two of the molds here, so I'm going to show you two different methods. And the first method is I'm going to be using some card, and this is not too thick a card, but it's got a picture on it that I particularly like, and you can choose any picture you want on your card. And I'm going to put my mold on there, and then I'm going to do a rough cutout of this going all the way around, and I'm going to need two of these. So I've got all my pieces cut out now. 2 pieces for this bit, 2 pieces for that bit. Didn't take long to cut out. And now what I'm doing is cutting out some wire. And this is steel wire rather than aluminium, because it is a lot stronger. And all I'm doing is trying to get that to lay as flat as I can. And I want 4 or 5 pieces for this, because I'm going to have them going in there like that. And you can see if they're going to lay flat, because you don't want them poking through your resin. I'm having 2 there and 3 in the middle there. And you'll be surprised how much just using this paper and these wires will make to the rigidity of this. Now this one I'm going to do in a similar way, but I'm not using the paper for this one. I'm just going to use coloured resin, but I will need my 5 wires. So I'm all ready to go with this now. What I'm going to be using is this easy coat resin, and the reason is it has a superior hardness and it dries really hard. Again, it's self-leveling, high gloss, and this mixes up as a 2-to-1 ratio. But the whole reason I'm using that is because it's glossy coat, and also because it goes super hard. So that's all nicely mixed up now, and I can leave that there for a couple of seconds before I do the next part. So what I now need to decide is which pictures I want showing where. Yeah, I definitely want that one that way, and that one that way. So the next thing to do is to pop a little bit of resin in this and make sure it's fully coated everywhere. Oh, I hate getting my fingers in resin like this, messing all my gloves up. And now what I want to do is put some resin over the back of this card like this, so it's completely covered all over, and then pop this in here and push it down so that this resin squeezes out. What I'm trying to do here is push any bubbles out that will have got trapped there. And now I can put my pieces of wire in. I'm not 100% confident that I've got rid of all my bubbles, but we will see in a minute. Well, when it's cured. And then we'll do exactly the same with this bit. And what I find is by rubbing the card with the resin first, what you get is you are less likely to get bubbles sticking to it. They kind of slide off it. But this bit is not very messy, because you want that pushed down as far as you can get it. And we can chuck our bits of wire in there as well. Okay, and we can leave that for a couple of seconds. And then I'm going to put a bit more resin in this. And then I'm going to put resin over the top and the bottom, over the front and the base of this piece of card. So top, bottom, front, base, whatever you want to call it. So again, that is fully coated in resin. I can lay that on there, sandwiching that in, pour a bit more resin over the top of that. And now we can leave those to cure. And put them over to one side like that. And now we can work on this one. So for this one, what I'm going to be doing is mix it in some mica powder. I'm just using 2 colours here, and I'm going to be using gold and I'm going to be using black. Now I've mixed up more than what I actually need here, because the next thing I'm going to do is pop some white sand in, and that's for my black, and that goes down to quite a nice thick consistency like that. I think we need a little bit more black mica powder in that. I think I was a bit, oh for goodness sake, I'm so messy. Yeah, that's better. And then we'll do the same with the gold. I mixed up double the amount of resin I should have mixed up. I should have only mixed up 75 mils of resin rather than 175 mils, because I'm doubling it up with the sand. And now what I'm going to be doing is plopping some sand in here, and then some of this one as well, and then giving that a bit of a mix up inside. And now this is where I can put my metal in, and I just want that to be covered up. Move that over, and we'll let that settle out, because that will find its own level once the sand settles and the resin kind of comes to the top. We will need to burst bubbles on this, because obviously we've mixed a lot of sand in with resin, and that will cause it to create bubbles. So all we need to do is go over this with a long neck lighter, preferably one that works, and burst the bubbles. And again, we could just let this cure, and then I'll show you what they look like once they're cured, and what you have to do with them once they're cured to ensure that they're nice and strong. So these are all cured now. Now, what I often find with these is that when you've cast them like this, if you do this one just a little bit too deep, then it doesn't fit into the actual slit here. So if that is the situation, then we can rectify that, and I'll show you how. This is the one with the pictures on, and that has come out really well, and that is very, very solid. And how you do that, how you put these together is you push this in here like that, and that one is slightly too thick there. So all I'm going to do is get a bit of sandpaper on a sanding block like this, and sand this down a little bit. And this is the really common thing about these. This second part of the mould, this bit that I'm holding now, what they really should do is make it so it is slightly thinner than the other bit, but for some reason they don't. Now, it's not only the wire on this that will help keep this together, but it's also the paper. That acts as a prevention. And there's one other thing I think that's really important to tell you as well in a second. Okay, so let's have a look at that. That didn't take too long. Which way up do I want that to go? Face, I want it that way. Yeah, that way, I really like that. So, oh yeah, so now that's pushed in there, much easier, and it will sit and stand like that, and you won't even notice that it's actually been sanded. And now you can put your phone on it, and it'll hold your phone, and it's not going to bend too easily. The other thing it will hold a tablet. And again, because you've got the wire in there, because you've got all the bits and pieces in there, it isn't going to bend. But what I would suggest is as well, before you put that together, is leave them for about at least 3 weeks to cure up, and that way they will go completely solid. It's like your coasters and things like that when you make those. You know, it makes a real big difference if you let them actually cure up properly. I love that picture, and I like the ones with the pictures in a great deal. This one, which is the one with the sand, is also cured really well. Now, the sand in this, along with those wire plates, again, will stop that from deforming. And this again, look, it's too thick, too large. So all I need to do is just sand these down a little bit in the same way, leave them for 3 weeks, lay them flat like this, and then put them together. And I'll show you what this one looks like put together. But I do love the pattern of that. But because we use the sand, it does dull that off a little bit. So if you want that, I mean, it's still got a nice shine to it, look, but it's not as shiny as, say, this one. And that's because the sand in there. Now, you can put a flood coat over the top of that if you wish, but I quite like it like that. So I'll quickly sand this one down and I'll show you. Well, they're finished now, and they work really, really well, and they're not going to bend out of shape or warp out of shape because of the work that we put into them. And it isn't too much work, but it does make a massive difference. Because these are so thin, epoxy resin isn't really going to hold it on its own. Adding the paper or the sand and the little wire supports makes a massive difference. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that video. Please boot that like button, hit that subscribe button, and check out the video that I've got coming up next. I think you'll really enjoy that one if you want to learn more about making the most of your epoxy resin. Take care, but most of all, enjoy your resin. Bye.